welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're super excited to have you with us for another session in our SportMed Connect webinar series, where really we bring together top professionals in sports medicine, performance, and beyond to share their expertise. So at SportMed Connect, just a quick overview. Our mission is very, very simple. It's to bring pro-level care to every athlete, not just the pros. So when an injury happens, instead of guessing and rushing to the ER, families and clubs have immediate access to a sports medicine professional through our platform. So that means faster answers, the right referrals, and quicker, safer return to play. So here's how it works. If an injury occurs, all you have to do is call our dedicated line, and you get connected instantly with an athletic trainer or physician as needed via video. They'll triage the situation, walk you through next steps, and if needed, coordinate referrals, imaging, or specialty care. So we streamline the entire process for you, so athletes aren't left waiting, parents aren't left waiting, and coaches, the same situation. And once again, the result is exactly what you'd expect, just like with the pros. You recover faster and safer, parents save time and money, and clubs have the peace of mind knowing they're providing the same level of care the pros rely on. So getting through all that stuff, we want to get to the fun part. So we're thrilled to be joined today by two guests. First, I'm going to introduce Dr. Ashley Reichert. So Ashley earned her degree in exercise science from the University of South Carolina and her doctorate of physical therapy at Duke University. She completed her sports PT residency with Texas Health Sports Medicine and TCU, caring for more than 50 D1 athletes through both post-op and long-term rehab. She continued to work at Texas Health Sports Medicine in Frisco and now sees clients in Dallas, and she is the director of PT at SandersFit. And alongside her is Melvin Sanders. We're super excited to have you on with us as well. Former professional basketball player with 13 years in the game, including time with the San Antonio Spurs, several European teams. At Oklahoma State, he earned an All-American Big 12 honors while also being named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Before that, in high school, he was a 15-time state track and field champion and a two-time Gatorade Athlete of the Year. After retiring from basketball, he transitioned into training, starting in a small apartment gym before building SandersFit Performance Center, where he now coaches pros and rising athletes. And really, it's pretty amazing to see his journey is all about resilience, vision, and empowering others. For those of you who watched the Chiefs-Eagles game, there was a nice little clip of Mel training with Derrick Henry. That was pretty awesome to see that.
For the Ravens game.
Or the Ravens.
Derrick Henry got traded to the Chiefs when I was asleep.
Sorry.
All the same thing.
Yeah, no, I saw it happen live. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, look, with that, between Ashley's clinical background and Melvin's performance experience, we've got a really powerful duo with us today. And to guide the conversation, it's going to be more of a podcast style format. And I'm going to hand it over to our co-founder and CEO, Dr. Shaun Garff.
All right, thanks, Clint. Thanks, Ashley and Melvin, for joining us, and thanks everyone for being on. We're going to kind of go back and forth here with some interactive questions. For those who are on the live webinar here, have your chat function up. There may be some interactive things we ask you to answer. Give Melvin and Ashley a little bit of context as to who's on the call and things like that. So if you have that available, definitely utilize that. And then if you have questions along the way, please type those into the chat. Clint will be monitoring those. We will have a little time at the end for some Q&A, but if something relates to a question we're on, we may stick with that for a second. So without further ado, let's get into this. Mel, give us your background, what you were like as a high school kid or as a middle school kid, with a lot of kids we have on the call tonight, and what inspired your career path to where you're at.
I mean, Clint made me sound great. Right off the bat, so pretty much knocked it out the park for me. But obviously, high school kid, just a raw athlete. Particularly I was good in football. Ran track, did basketball. But I wasn't a great basketball player or football player. I was just a really good athlete. again, like saying, so that's kind of where my background came from. Like I did track, All American in track, but I did track for what, 3 months a year. I mean, I did basketball for 3 months a year, and that was pretty much it. You know what I mean? So again, but I just happened to be blessed with, I mean, obviously God getting talent, and as I get older, I kind of figure out the resilient part and the hard work part. You know, to kind of transition into college basketball and things like that. So I mean, a little bit about me. Like I said, again, I grew up single parent home. You know what I'm saying? Just me, my mom, and my other three siblings. Like that, you know what I mean? So again, I mean, if you know anything about that, you know, you learn a lot of resilience right there, having to battle with three other kids in the house. You know what I mean? Again, I just think I just learned that work ethic early on, and just having I always had the will and drive to want to be the best. You know what I mean? I think that still kind of sits me today. You know, that's kind of why me and Ashley are where we are right now. You know. Okay, from there.
How'd you get into the strength and conditioning world post professional career?
Well, I hated working out when I was playing basketball because I thought it messed up my shot. Right, that was kind of age old thing. You know, I was like, man, I couldn't play; it's gonna mess up my shot. You know, so I actually didn't really start getting into like weight training until probably like my second to last year. Well, actually with the Spurs, I lifted there because I had to because I was the only rookie on the team. But I left him with the Europe. I never touched the weight, literally. I mean, for like the like my second to last year playing basketball over in Europe, I kind of started getting into it more. You know, for whatever reason, I kind of wanted to extend my career. I mean, so I just started kind of getting the strength conditioning then, and like my last year playing basketball, I was in Italy, and I actually got certified. I got my CSCS and everything like that, and just out of nowhere, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. You know, I was like, and trained a couple athletes. Like Kenyon Martin was like my first athlete, he's #1 pick a long time ago, right? He's like my first athlete. I treat. He's like, man, you might want to do this full time. So I kind of started getting into it more and more. Then, like probably like when I was probably like 29 years old, that's when I actually started really kind of lifting weights. Honestly.
Awesome. And then
Yeah.
tell us about, so looking back at your career, tell us a memory or an experience that you had either individually or with another pro athlete that really shaped kind of how you train athletes today.
I think really just I mean my first big athlete was actually Dak Prescott, right? He started training in was it 2016, I think, when he first got drafted when nobody knew who he was. Now he's a fourth round pick. You know, Tony Romo's still the starter here, and Dak's like, hey, I heard about you. I kind of want to come train with you. So he trained me, and I like the day Oklahoma picked up the workout for some kind of way. Then I think maybe the newspaper in Dallas kind of caught wind of it, you know, and then like posted more about it, and that kind of just actually kind of took off the path for me training like more and more big time athletes, you know. And after that, Derrick Henry was next. Like Derrick's with me, I think going on year 9 now. Everything like that, and that's kind of how I kind of got started with him, you know. And like Derrick has been a big proponent, you know, because obviously he's 31 years old. He's still at the top of his game. Like, so I just did an interview with Yahoo Sports like 3 days ago, and every year ESPN, ABC, they all call and talk to me. I'm like, hey, how's Derrick going? I'm like, I'm telling you, he's better than he was 4 years ago. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And then day in and day out, he kind of proves what I'm saying, you know. So that's kind of like me, always fun seeing him year in and year out like do the same thing he's been doing as a running back, you know, since I mean what 2017, right? 18. So it's kind of cool to see that.
That's amazing. And the physical specimen he is a testament to what you're doing with him. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
No, yeah, no, it's unreal. Like I said again, like I said, yes, like and just everybody. Obviously, like most football guys don't last long, right? Like I've had, I mean, some of the top running backs in the NFL that are younger than Derek that are not in the NFL anymore. You know what I mean? So just testament to his hard work and his dedication and how he takes care of his body and stuff. You know, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, how about Ashley? You chime in here on this one as well, if you can. Just an experience you've had or experiences you had that kind of help shape how you train and treat athletes in your world.
Yeah, totally. I think the background kind of similar to what Melvin was saying. I think I'm super grateful for the opportunities and the people who have allowed me these opportunities along the way. Obviously, I kind of joke with people, you don't have to do a residency as a physical therapist, but I think that the opportunity afforded to me being at TCU and Texas Health was really awesome. I always joke with people that I graduated PT school in 2020 and I've been working for 5 years, but I've probably got about 10 years of experience and hours worked. And I think that, again, like my experience at SandersFit kind of continued to allow growth that not a lot of people get early on. So I was 26 coming out of the residency program. Melvin and Ross, the owners of SandersFit Rehab, have really allowed me and afforded me a lot of opportunities that not a lot of other young clinicians get. And so alongside Melvin, I've been able to work since I started with Sanders in 2022, which is crazy now. I've had 4 off seasons now under my belt with a lot of those athletes that are coming to Melvin as their off season destination. It's pretty awesome to see how obviously we know that SandersFit Performance Center has been a destination for off-season training for a long time, but it's really awesome to see now how the SandersFit Rehab and Therapy has also become the rehabilitation destination, and like people are coming in the off-season because of a lot of those big names, and they're seeing someone like Derek that's lasted a long time in the NFL, and that's a testament to the way that Melvin trains for sure. You just don't see a lot of people who are as longevity focused as Melvin is. And I think that we train very similarly as far as like our loading principles, multiplanar movements. And again, I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that later. I don't want to spoil that, but I think that the level of people who I've been able to work with immediately out of school really has shaped the way that I've been able to continue to construct my rehab philosophies.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we'll get into this a little bit, but Sanders Fit Rehab and then their performance centers, they're amazing. They've got 5 locations across the Metroplex in DFW here, and then just seeing their setup, it's just a world-class gym, jerseys lining the wall, and then you got your whole PT modalities and getting treatment. I mean, it's a great environment there. So hopefully many of you get to see it at some point. Mel, what's something you wish you knew about training when you were a kid? We got some middle school kids on the call, high school kids, people playing club basketball. What's something you wish you knew when you were their age that you know now?
Yeah, I just think I always go back and if I can tell my old self to my future self is to work harder. Everything like that. Because I was telling you, like, if you think you're working hard, there's always a level you can go to, right? I said again, I've been blessed to be around, like I said, a number of great athletes, and I just see their work ethic. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, like you can always think you're kind of working hard, like man, I might be tired, but if you work 1 hour, work 2. If working 2 hours, work 4. And I say that because in everybody's mind, they want to go to the pros, right? They want to be in the NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB. And that's a very, very small percentage. Like I said, I think we had 3 first round picks this year, actually, in the NBA draft or whatever. And I've been with these kids since they're what, 7th grade, and they all just have an unbelievable work ethic. You know what I mean? So I'll just say any kid out there, I'll always say just like, I mean, study the game. You know what I mean? And really fall in love with the process because it goes fast. And again, and work your butt off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember talking to a baseball player one time who played for the Dodgers, and I said, "What makes Mookie Betts so good? He's one of their best players." And he said, "He's the first guy here every day. He's the last guy to leave."
Oh,
You heard a lot
100%.
about that from the Mamba mentality and Kobe Bryant as well. I mean, nobody outworked him. And
No,
so the guys that are Hall of Famers or All Stars, they're obviously very skilled and talented,
yeah.
but they have work ethic and they put in more time and effort.
No,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, just the fact, like I said again, like at a certain point, everybody's really, really good.
yeah,
Like I said, but it's the consistent hard work and effort that's going to get you to be great, right? Like I said, Victor Wembanyama came in 3 summers ago, Ashley, or whatever. I mean, kid's already probably worth $20 million, right? And I mean, his work ethic was insane. I mean, he's always like, "What's next? What's next? What's next?" And again, like I said, that's testament to, I mean, who he is. Like, I mean, at 7'5", right, you can just kind of catch the ball and shoot over anybody. But the way that kid works is insane at that age. And he came in this past summer as well, and just same mindset, same work ethic. I mean, I work everybody.
yeah,
And you see that, like, even Melvin talking about that is such a great point. I remember Victor coming in and drinking beet juice. He was like 17
Yeah.
that summer that he came in, and he's sitting in the PT room, beat me in there at 7 a.m. So he's in there at like 6:45 a.m., beat everybody else in there, and is sitting there drinking beet juice. And I was like, hey, like, what's up with that? And his agent's like, no, dude, like, it's every day. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's different. You see a difference. Like, we work with a lot of really, like Melvin said, a lot of really good players, but you notice a difference even amongst the best of the best. Like, you notice a difference in that top 1%, in the top 0.5%, like you really do. Derek is a great example of that. Vic is a really great example of that. You just see those people who are so dialed, and it takes sacrifice, but those people, they just have a different work ethic. The way that like again, Derek's a great example of like one rep. Like if he's doing 6 reps, they're gonna be 100% perfect reps. They're not gonna be, we're gonna do it until we get it right. And we're gonna, it's just different. You see it in the consistency, I think, is the biggest thing too, totally, to go off what Melvin said. People can show up and work really hard one day a week, but like those people like Derek, the number of hours that people like the number of hours that man is in that gym, like it's not a joke. And like we're not lying, like you can't make it up. You've never seen someone, it's Kobe level, like of like
Yeah.
you've never seen someone that works that hard, that
Yeah.
consistently.
That's amazing. Okay,
So,
audience,
so
kids,
really
coaches,
quick,
parents
really quick. I'm
listening.
sorry, Shaun. I had a quick
Go ahead,
question.
Gino. Go ahead,
So
Gino.
when you guys kind of talk about work ethic and everything, a lot of times when it comes to these young athletes, I'm sorry, first Coach Gino with AYG. So when we talk about work ethic and the players, a lot of times they think, hey, you know what, my competition is the other team or the kid across the city. And how do you really encourage them and motivate them that, hey, you know what, even you have to compete against the players that's on your team, because it's not just, hey, you're competing against the opposition, but it's also your teammates.
Mhm. Well, my biggest always saying point was always like, you got to work hard on everybody that knows you and everybody that doesn't know you. I mean, and that was always like good talking point for me because like had a wake up call like when I like started playing basketball in Europe. I'm like, holy, these guys are good too. And every year you see, I mean, if you look at realistically, the best players in the MLB, you know what I mean, in the NBA, they're I mean, tennis, they're mostly European. You know what I mean? And we'll never hear about these people ever, you know? So I always tell like my high school kids, like, listen, there's a kid somewhere in France or Greece right now that's working their butt off. You know what I mean? That's going to get drafted in the first round that you've never heard of. You know what I mean? So I was just kind of remind them of that stuff kind of all the time. It's like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you're on, you're an athlete, you're a coach, you're a parent, give us some feedback. What's your number one athletic goal right now? We want to hear where your mind's at. So type in the chat as you're typing that. We're going to kind of transition this from a little bit of the introduction into some more of the specifics with regards to strength training, especially in basketball athletes here. So this is for you to start, Melvin. Every young athlete wants to be bigger, stronger, faster. So if you could really kind of sum that up and give one key, we've talked about hard work. What else would you be on your mind as far as from a strength and conditioning standpoint?
I would say nutrition first. Everything like what goes into your body is like the number one thing. You know what I mean? Like like I see athletes every day. Like I said, I say nutrition and sleep. I mean, like I said, I notice this proper phase is like, oh, like I don't get tired of sleeping. You got to sleep, you got to rest, you got to recover your body, you know. And I didn't know this growing up. I was like, man, like I'm gonna miss something, you know. So I wanted to stay up, you know, all times of night and things like that. But like really good athletes, they get at least 8 hours sleep in, you know, a night to recover their bodies. And nutrition is number one overall key. Is like the Chick-fil-A's, the Burger Kings, McDonald's. Like it's not real food, so don't touch that stuff. I mean, I have a 7-year-old son. He's like absolutely terrified of anything fast food, right? And everything like that. You know what I mean? So I just tell kids early, like, hey, listen, like, really care about your body, really take care of your body. And again, like everybody wants to be bigger, faster, and stronger. But if you focus on the nutrition and recovery piece as well, you're probably gonna be better than 90% of kids out there. I mean, starting from that standpoint, and to touch on the strength conditioning phase, I just feel like consistency and repetition is everything, right? Again, the issue now is with training is like Instagram, social media is so watered down. You know what I mean? So it's not a lot of consistency. You know, I tell a parent, I was like, hey, listen, if your kid learn how to squat, lunge, jump, and do push-ups, whatever, he can be okay starting out. You know what I mean? But again, it's just so much more fancy stuff out there. You know, people feel like they have to be a part of this kind of watered down, really real training and things like that, you know. So just focus, I say focus on the basics and the fundamentals and training properly before you start getting into anything else.
That's great. Great stuff. All right. Ashley.
We have a few comments in there. Do you want me to read off a couple of these comments from the
Oh yeah,
question?
sure. Yeah. Clint's monitoring our chat. Thanks for looking at that. Yeah, give us some feedback.
Yeah, one answer from Andrew Wolf. My number one athletic goal right now is to get faster and more athletic.
Andrew, I would say horse strength and hip mobility is everything, right? If you really want to get fast, so I say train fast. So at least 3 or 4 days a week, you should just run as hard as you can. You know what I mean? Literally try to run through a wall. You know what I mean? That helps a lot because, again, a lot of people want to get faster, but they don't really train fast. You know what I mean? Like that. So number one proponent to that is really just kind of work on your mechanics. Again, like I said, I'll drop some my information in here. If you have any questions for me at the end of this, so I can send you a couple programs that help you a lot. I mean, free of charge on me, and that'll help you a lot, Andrew, for sure, for sure.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mel. That was a little bit of a follow-up. If anyone joined us last night, we had a webinar on speed, and that was the primary answer to that is you got to train fast to be fast. You got to sprint in order to be, you can't just strength train and think you're going to all of a sudden be fast one day. So
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
a great one.
Yeah, we have several comments. Kids focused on obviously making their team, or they have a goal of making their school team or getting to a higher level. How do you break that down into shorter term goals to build to that, Mel? Like, how would you advise these kids in that area?
I just think to focus on your craft every single day. Like if you really want to make a team, whatever, you have to work at it every day. I mean, again, like I said, and once you make the team, whatever your goal should be to start on that team, right? To be the best one on that team. So it really doesn't stop. It's a constant cycle of hard work and dedication, a commitment to what you want to do. And again, I tell kids all the time, like, there's one person you can't lie to, and that's yourself. I mean, so if you look around or whatever and you don't make the team, you have to be honest with yourself. Did you do everything you could in your power to make that team? And sometimes might not be the case. Like I said, I was cut 5 times before I made the NBA. I mean, so again, and I know I did everything possible to get to where I want to be, and I didn't let that stop me. So if you make it or if you don't make it, whatever, you have to have the same mindset to keep working hard.
Love that.
Good stuff. Ashley, hit this one for us. What are the common mistakes you see young athletes doing when they say they want to get strong on their own?
Yeah. I would again kind of tail off of what Melvin was saying. I think it's really important, especially for the younger crowd, to really focus on good mechanics with that strong foundation in foundational movements. So like Melvin said, good mechanics with squatting, good mechanics with lunges. As much as you can, try to use your resources too. Like, I was a student athlete at University of South Carolina, and I drank the Kool-Aid from anyone on the strength staff. We had really great resources at USC. We had the baseball strength coaches were our strength coaches, and I just kind of picked their brains on everything. So I would stay late. I would go to every like voluntary workout that there was just to kind of see what their recommendations were. So I think again, like Melvin said, I think really focusing on the foundational movements and absorbing everything that you can on that, and the consistency too. Like again, like Melvin said, like I think it's super important for again as like a younger athlete. That's the easiest way to be able to get where you're trying to go is consistency over time. If you're doing 3 days a week of foundational movements as opposed to the one person who goes and runs all out once every 2 weeks, you're gonna be the better prepared person. Same getting shots up, same thing with anything that you're doing. I think the consistency and that's what we see a lot of. And honestly, like what I think like makes our therapists stand out a lot as we focus and strength and conditioning as well. I think that we see a lot of kids that come in with lacking that foundational knowledge. So I think that again, like as much access as you can get to someone who knows what they're doing, you focusing on those specific foundational things. I think that's a lot of what we see low hanging fruit wise in the athletes.
Hey, Ashley, this is Coach Gino again. So I have a question for you. So what advice would you give to these young athletes that we have where when it comes to mental performance, when they get into those uncomfortable spaces where, it does start to hurt or it does feel uncomfortable, or what advice would you give them to push through that and continue to move forward so that they can continue to build on their skills and their strength and speed?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I think there's definitely like a big difference between pain and like discomfort. So that's something that again, like as a young athlete and when you're kind of rising up through these ranks, there's definitely going to be a lot of discomfort. That's normal and that's just part of the process. So like lactic acid buildup, like as we're getting into like heavier loading, like you're gonna have some stuff that's normal. which again, like there's definitely a difference in learning the difference. I think again, as a younger athlete, there's definitely a learning curve there as to like what's like positive discomfort and like to an end versus like true like pain we don't want to push through. But there's definitely again like with a lot of this like training for these younger kids, that discernment's definitely super important. And then if you are truly like having pain, there's definitely a lot of resources. I think like Melvin said, it can be a little bit watered down when you get into like too deep into Instagram or TikTok fixes, but there are some good people. And again, I can get some information to Dr. Garff to share some accounts that do have valuable information. And of course, like we try to post a little bit of that kind of stuff on our social media and stuff as well. But it's definitely important, the foundational movements and like mechanics with things. Honestly, like altering mechanics with certain movements definitely is a huge way that our therapists are making change. It's not necessarily, I think it's kind of like an older school mindset of like to push through pain. We shouldn't be pushing through pain. But again, we have to kind of discern what's true pain. I'm sorry for my dog. But pushing through pain as opposed to what is discomfort from a strenuous session.
That's good. So kind of leading into that, that answers some of the questions we have coming up as far as injury prevention, which is good.
Yeah.
But Mel and Ashley, maybe you guys can each take a stab at this. What would be your kind of perfect week of training for a young athlete, as far as like, number of days doing, strength training, weight training, agility, speed, how, conditioning, recovery, whatever. How would you kind of break that down if you had to make an ideal week?
I think 3 days a week of like speed strength training. I mean, like strength conditioning is always good, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I think Tuesday, Thursday focus on like speed and say if you want to do plyometric training, things like that. It's kind of like that's kind of like a good baseline. But I think they definitely be busy, do something at least 5 days a week to really develop. I mean, I know some people think 4 or whatever, but I like 5 because it gives us 3 days of strength training and 2 days of like speed, agility, and like plyometric work and things like that. So it's kind of like my breakdown.
That's good. Ashley, anything to add there?
Yeah, totally agree. That's kind of how I would say again, Melvin and I work really closely, so a lot of our athletes are seeing him in addition to me, and that's the traditional breakdown that we use for sure.
Yeah, I won't tell you my 7-year-old son's schedule, but yeah, we go 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we go 7 days a week. So yes, it's a little different, but we do. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll ask this question now. This kind of comes up a little later, but time sometimes is a limiting factor, right? Obviously, if you're Derrick Henry, you're making millions, you can afford to spend hours in the gym every day, right? But a lot of these kids and younger athletes, yeah, school, they got church commitments and extracurricular activities, and so they may be able to get those 2 sessions a week with their basketball teams. What are some things that you think are absolutely like you got to do if you have a 15 minutes in that practice? We have some coaches on here, and from what we heard a lot earlier in podcasts, it's not just about skill training. Like you got to develop. You talked about it in the beginning, like you being an athlete was what was the biggest thing, right? Not only training your skills in basketball, but really training to become an athlete. So, what would you say? You got 15 minutes. What are the few things that you got to get in practice?
I think maximizing your position. Like if you're a point guard, obviously working your ball handling, and like I think ball handling, shooting is like if we're talking basketball is the biggest proponent, because if you can shoot and handle the ball, you can play somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that, obviously, that's on the basketball side, right? Again, I mean, 50 minutes is, a lot of time to work on your handling. You know what I mean? If you watch, you can just pick up a Steph Curry video or a Kyrie Irving video and just watch that and just follow that routine for 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, if you do that consistently, whatever your handles are going to be great, right? The same thing with shooting. I mean, you don't have to be in the gym, 3 hours a day, but if you only have 15, 30 minutes of just kind of skills work, and just kind of focus on the fundamentals, whereas the dribbling, the shooting, and things like that.
Yeah, and Ashley, from a non-skills perspective, what would you add if you had 15 minutes of a time to prevent injury or strength or condition? What are kind of the 2 or 3 things that you would really want to hit on?
Yeah, great question. So I would say a proper warm up is something that I see lacking a lot of times. So I like a banded like hip activation. Again, we can kind of drop some of the information and videos that we typically utilize, but I like a banded hip activation, especially for basketball specifically. A dynamic warm up is really important. Again, like Melvin said, 15 minutes doesn't sound like a long time for like a workout per se, but if you have 15 minutes ahead of practice, 15 minutes is plenty of time to get a dynamic warm up in, a banded hip activation, especially with basketball. That's like those I would say are kind of the low hanging fruit from the rehab side of things.
That's good. Let's transition a little bit into injury. And, this is something that plagues, unfortunately, a lot of people at some point in their career. Everyone's going to have to deal with an injury. So for those of you who are chatting and have access, what's a common injury you see in your sport? What are injuries that you see? We have a lot of basketball players on tonight. So in your teammates, and your friends and your colleagues, what are common injuries that you all are seeing? And then we'll kind of see what Ashley has to say on as far as what she's seeing in the elite athletes. So we got stuff on ankles and knees. We had an ACL. Hopefully that's
Yeah,
not the most
hopefully
common
ACL
thing we're
tear.
seeing,
Yep.
but that does happen.
Stress fracture.
Stress injuries. Ashley, you're treating a lot of high level athletes. What are common injuries you're seeing, and what are ways you're seeing people that succeed in staying away from them? That what are they doing?
Yep. So kind of a little bit off of what I was saying earlier. I think, like you guys are saying in the chat as well, definitely ankles, ankle sprains, and chronic ankle instability is a big one in basketball. And same thing with knee stuff, whether that's patellar tendonitis, Osgood Schlatter's, all those things that I'm sure that you see in the clinic as well, Dr. Garff. But those I think are probably the most common things. Again, low hanging fruit wise, I think that a lot of single leg work, which again, when we're talking foundational movements, when we're talking um, lunges, like Melvin said, when we're talking squats, training unilaterally is a really important thing and something that I love about the way that Melvin programs for his athletes and what we do a lot of in rehab. There's a lot of single leg stuff, so single leg balance, reverse lunges, walking lunges that require a more narrow base of support is super beneficial for basketball, for both ankle and knee stability. Additionally, that hip activation stuff that we talked about is also really important because your hamstring and your quad control a lot of what your knee is doing forward and backward, but your hip and your foot control a lot of what your knee does from side to side. That's a really big conversation that we have. I have that conversation probably every hour on the hour in the clinic with our clients. So that's something, especially with basketball, people really favor the knee kind of rolling in toward the other knee position. And that gets exacerbated with a lot of load, with a lot of running, with a lot of jumping. With basketball, obviously, there's a lot of jumping and landing that takes place. So a lot of that, when we're talking about focusing on proper mechanics with loading, that can really provide a really strong foundation for those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. You talk about ankles, and I tell these two stories a lot when I'm talking to kids. Um, in the Mamba Mentality book, Kobe specifically talks about getting into tap dancing because of how it strengthened his ankles
Yeah.
from continuing rolling. We see guys like Steph Curry who's had multiple ankle injuries and all the work and effort he puts in. Jerry Rice, one of my favorite football players growing up, he took ballet classes to help strengthen his stability and his ankles. So I mean, again, it goes back to that mentality. What are you doing to get better a little bit each day? And certainly, yeah, right on. Ankles and knees are big ones in basketball players. So it's not just oh, I had an ankle sprain, I'll just sit out for a couple days and I'll be better. That's one of the biggest thing I see when kids are going to other doctors and urgent cares and ERs for a sports injury when they should be coming to a sports doctor or an orthopedic doc who treats these. and then recovering with a group like SandersFit, they're not giving them that added benefit of like what's next, right? Yeah, most kids will get better. Most injuries will get better if you just rest, but how do you optimize so you don't keep doing that? Let's transition a little bit. Mel, I'll throw this one at you. You talked a little bit about this earlier, the importance of sleep, nutrition, and recovery. This is something that I think we're preaching earlier and earlier in the world now. I mean, probably when you were a young kid, they didn't talk much about this. It was just wake up and go play. But every
Yeah.
day I talk to kids about this and say, listen, you got to have the mindset if you want to be a next level player in high school and make the varsity team or play D1 or beyond, you've got to start thinking like that and taking care of your body because that's the machine that's going to get you there. So, any other thoughts on sleep, nutrition, recovery, Mel, and how that influences the athletes you see and train?
Well, I said, just over the past probably like 8 to 10 years, whatever, just like the guys to eat better. You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, get proper rest and don't put impurities into the body. They actually have longer careers, right? They're just more optimal. You know what I mean? Because again, if you're getting more sleep, you got better focus. You have more energy. You know what I'm saying? Just an overall better mood, right? And and that's really a big piece. You know what I mean? So again, I would say for kids out there, just kind of watch your sugar intake because a lot of highs and lows that go with that. Everything like that. And again, just really just try to focus on getting at least you 8, 9 hours of sleep, especially as kids need. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. We have a great partnership both from a SportMed Connect standpoint and with SandersFit with the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. So if anyone out there is looking for more guidance on nutrition, I highly recommend going to the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. Amy Goodson is a tremendous resource that works well with both of us, and
Yeah.
she's got a ton of information. And then they also do one-on-one nutrition counseling that's covered by insurance. So that's something. I mean, you're not going to eat perfect. It's not like you're never going to have hot Cheetos again. We get that. You're
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the 80-20 rule, right? Try to do well 80% of the time and fuel your body correctly. And that's a big deal. So um, let's we've talked a little bit about this, but sum it up in a sentence or two. What separates the elite athletes from a training perspective, Mel and Ashley?
Ash, you want this one?
I'll let you go first.
All right, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, what separates them is I just feel like the consistency of the hard work. Like you said, like anybody can work hard for a day, right? I mean, but can you work hard? I mean, every day. You know what I mean? To reach your goals and get to where you want to be, and that's really the big difference. Because I have like some of the top athletes, they'll come in and train 3 times a week and be like, okay, I'm good for the week, and have those guys that come in 5 or 6 times a week. You know what I mean? And again, like it's a big difference in your mindset, but you got to think like these pro athletes are really good and like that, and you're trying to get there. You know what I mean? So to get there, you've got to, like I touched on, whatever, just work harder than everybody out there. Even work harder than you in yourself, I say. You know what I mean? Again, and that's just the biggest key, just being consistent. And I say it over and over again, just consistency and hard work. Like, I mean, work hard Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. I mean, and get something out of it when you're working though. Like I tell my son all the time, whether you do or you don't, you get to. You know what I mean? And that's a privilege to be able to actually even play basketball, or play a sport or anything like that. And I tell you, so just, I mean, don't waste energy, don't waste time doing it. Because if you're doing it, just do it the right way and become better every day at it.
Totally. I
Great.
completely agree. That's exactly what I would say too. I feel like we see it every day, but we're in that gym every day. We're consistent about being in there. Injury risk decreases. The level of the players, like Melvin said, everybody at the top is great. Like everybody at the top is good at basketball. Everybody at the top is. And so that consistency and fueling is really important. The people who are showing up consistently and regularly, again, it's really crazy to say, but you notice a difference between the people who are consistent compared to the people who are in and out. And it's all about priorities. You've got time during the day. You've got time. So definitely allocating things toward the goals that you're looking to hit is super important. I think I would reiterate that 10 times. The consistency is the most important piece.
Yeah, I
So
like
this is I'm so sorry, Shaun, really quick. This is Coach Gino again. So
Yeah.
obviously you guys are dealing with the top 1%, right? So in that 1%, obviously these guys are the best of the best, right? So how do we motivate from a coaching standpoint to really encourage these young athletes to really push themselves and compete in put themselves in a position to push to be the best of the best.
Yeah. And I've learned just working like over the years with kids and everything like that, like certain people just kind of get it and kind of have it, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll be real, you can only motivate so much, but then they've got to meet you halfway, coach. You know what I mean? Like that, if they really want it, you'll kind of see it, you know? Again, like I said, and I tell parents the same thing. It's like, listen, like, you can't want it more than your kids do. You know what I mean? So it's like it comes a point where as they get up in age where they got to figure out kind of like how to, motivate themselves. And again, obviously I'm sure you're a great coach. Again, you can just push them to a level, but at some point they've kind of want it too. You know what I mean? So again, like if you're showing them every day positive attitude, pushing them to be great. If they meet you halfway, obviously they're going to be really good at their sport, right?
Yeah, that's good. So on that, that's a great segue, Gino. Just giving a second for Ashley and Mel to come up with any advice for coaches or parents. I think that was one great thing. You can't want it more than the kid does. That's a really key point.
Yeah.
So and while they're doing this, I do want to just give a few minutes for just questions to come from the audience as well. So I don't want to monopolize all the time. So be thinking of questions that you have for Melvin or Ashley. And then if you want to just take a second as far as the parent or coach advice for young athletes, Ashley and Melvin, what would you say in that regard?
Yeah, I think again, similarly, I think you've got to be a self-starter. And again, to all the kids out there, you've got to know what you want, go after what you want. Um, I've started out as a young clinician that way where I wanted it more than the clients wanted it. And I had one of my mentors tell me that early on, that you definitely can't want it more than the kid wants it for sure. But yeah, I think overall, I think that consistency, if I could like have like one takeaway and you think about one thing after this. I think that the consistency in the work and the foundational movements, don't sleep on the foundational stuff. I know like all the flashy stuff is more exciting and we'll get more views and clicks and all that kind of stuff, but truly the great people are really great at the foundational things, and that goes in all realms from sport to rehab to conditioning to like life as well. The really, really great people start with a really strong foundation.
Anything else you got, Mel, for parents of kids out there? What would
I,
you
I, I just tell them, to be realistic and push your kids hard. You know what I mean? Again, like I'll say a lot of times the parents have expectations for the kids, but they don't put them in the right situations. And again, like I said, again, like just push them to a limit where they're uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Every day. To get if you want your kid to be really good, anything like that. Because again, like I'm very realistic when it comes to anything but training. Sports, and I'm honest with parents. You know what I mean? Like I don't sugarcoat that because a lot of parents have, hey, I want my kid to play in college, or I want my kid to start on a high school team. I want my kid to do this and do that. And again, but it's like it's hard. It's hard out there. You know what I mean? Like that, because every parent that out there thinks that their kid's the best kid in the world, right? Me being one of them. But to be great, you have to make your kids uncomfortable. You have to push them to a point, of uncomfortability, whatever, get them where they want to go, and that's just real as it gets.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see where are we at here. A couple of questions that have come up, which I think is kind of a good segue here. Any resources? You've talked about getting back to the basics, foundational movements, Ashley. Any resources, any books? You mentioned maybe sharing in the future, and we can link this in the future or get it back to everyone who's on this call, but or Instagram accounts or web pages that have reliable resources as far as what those basic and foundational movements are.
Yeah, that's a great question. I should have been a little bit more prepared. Will be in the future for sure. I can't I think oof, let me think about books. I'll drop that in the chat. And then as far as Instagram accounts, let me also do a little bit of research for you. I'm not off the top of my head, Mel, but I don't know if you have anything that you can think of off the top of your head.
Well, I have some foundational stuff that I can share as well. Everything like that. Shaun, like I said, again, we can, I mean, put an email form or something like that. And I have a pretty good baseline for, I mean, youth kids and kids starting out how to train and like the basic and things like that that we can share as well. So, I mean, I have a good program that I think is a 6 to 8 week program that they can kind of follow and like basic and things like that that help them a lot for sure, for sure.
That'd be great. Yeah, for those on the call, we'll put something together in a one page, 2 page summary kind of thing,
Yep.
and we'll get that out to you, and that way you've got who it's coming from, the source, they're excellent at what they do. Question came up about a lot of advertisements from these kind of chain places like D1 Training. What can you speak to anything about that? Do you have any experience with that? Or is that a good idea? Is there a certain age you might want to start investing in that type of training for your kid?
I mean, like I said, I mean, again, I mean, it's a lot of good training out there, right? I just feel like you need to vet the process first and see exactly what your kids are getting. Because, like I said, you don't want to go somewhere where your kids training with 25 other kids, right? And again, because again, it's kind of almost like a money grab then, you know what I mean? Because it's like they're not really getting individualized attention that they need. Like, it might be a kid super fast there, and your kid might need to even work on running, you know what I mean? So they're not going to really individualize that attention to him and things like that. So I think like small group training is better than big group training. So again, so just kind of keep a focus on that, you know what I mean? I think 3 to 5 kids, I mean, 7 kids at the most in a training session is probably plenty. You know what I mean? So I just kind of feel like if you really want your kid to get real attention and actually learn proper mechanics, how to squat, how to lunge, I mean, how to run, how to jump, you know what I mean? Like with 20, 25 plus kids, like they're not really going to get that, you know? So I just tell parents to keep an eye on that kind of thing.
Is there an age at which I know there's a lot of agility movements you can do at an early age, foundational movements? Is there an age at which you recommend like adding weight and strength training from a weight perspective?
I see from a weight perspective, it's kind of varies or whatever, but I think around like 10 years old, I think you can start adding more. Like I said, my son's 7, he does he does med balls, right? Things like that, but he's been training for a while. But I think starting out, I think just body weight stuff till you get the mechanics down. Then like kind of once you feel comfortable adding like bands and things in there and like med balls and things like that are fine. You know what I'm saying? But I just think like pure weights and things like that, I think you do weight. I mean, probably like around like 10, 11 years old to kind of start to make sure the body's kind of developed a little more. And again, but again, weights won't stunt your growth, parents. You know what I mean? So if kids lifting weights, they don't stunt your growth. You know what I mean? So don't worry about that. But again, like don't start them out on heavy back squats and cleans and things like that if they don't know how to do a proper squat or a push up, right? I say that. So
Ashley, there was a question earlier about do you see real successful athletes playing multiple sports at a young age, or are they focused on one sport?
I think, yeah, for sure.
focus on one sport is very bad. Don't do it.
There
Yes,
you
Do
go.
not do it. Do not do
agree.
that. At the early age,
Agree.
don't do
Yeah, I think Melvin's kids participating in every sport known to man currently,
it.
including karate.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah. We do
gotta
quite.
diversify. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
regarded as the correct answer to that is
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think it's a psychological and mental as well. You know what I mean? Because again, like focusing on one sport at an early age is like just not healthy for the kid in general. I mean, because at some point they're going to exhaust, they're going to kind of get watered down from it, you know what I mean? So again, like put them in soccer, you know what I mean? Like put them in track, you know, if they do basketball, you know, or football. I'm not a football proponent, even though I train the best football players in the world, you know what I mean? Again, but you know what I mean? But again, I just say like put them somewhere they're like being active and moving, whether it's tennis, whether it's, I mean, like soccer, whether it's anything that they're actually just moving and running, swimming, anything, you know, but focus on one sport I mean, at a young age is just very unhealthy. You know what I mean? For the parent and for the kid, you know, just because then it just kind of gets really repetitive, whatever. And then it's just like their body start getting used to it. So like I said, you got to learn how to move, you know what I mean? And like certain sports just kind of get repetitive, you know, and like you want to make sure that you're training the bodies to move and be active at an early age, you know, for sure.
Yeah, what's fun is listening. I've got the privilege of listening over the past 2 weeks to top professionals and trained basketball, football players, Major League Baseball players, Olympic volleyball players, uh, speed and track, strength and conditioning coaches, and all of their sentiment is the same. As a young kid, be an athlete, be athletic, get involved in as much stuff as you can.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we preach from a national organization in sports medicine physicians, that we
Yeah.
are against sports specialization. And you're not going to get behind if they take that one season off of baseball to be able to play something different. You're going to be just
Yeah.
fine. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Mel, this is Coach Gino again. I'm sorry. I keep chiming in. I got all the questions
G.
today.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
it.
Talk to
So,
me.
so
Yeah.
what advice would you give, right, to the parents, right? Like, we have a lot of parents that bring their athletes to us, and they like, hey, they want the magic pill, right? Like, hey, give my kid this pill, he's gonna be the next best thing, right? So, what advice would you give to these parents that about trusting the process and understanding that it's a building block process? Like, what advice would you give?
Oh well, my big thing, like I don't really like take advice from parents. You know what I mean? Like they hardly can come to the gym, right? Like again, I mean, I would say honestly for parents, but it's just like be very realistic and everything like that. Again, like I said, and like you have to do work with your kids as well, on your own. You know what I mean? Again, you can't expect the coach to be have a magic pill. You know what I mean? Again, so if the coach is seeing you 1 hour a day or whatever, like I said, make sure your kids doing something on their own with you for another hour out of the day, and that's just realistic. You know what I mean? Because again, like all the guys that I train, like their dads and their moms, whatever, they're really active in their in from a sports standpoint. You know what I mean? So I just tell parents that like, hey, if you want your kid to be this way, you've got to help me help them be this way. You know what I mean? Because again, like the time and money, the time that I'm going to have with them, whatever, it's not going to be equal to the time it's going to take for them to be as good as you want them to be.
That's
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Clint, I've tried my best to keep up with the chat. Any questions I missed up there that people had asked? And any other the questions, it will have just a time for maybe one or two more. So any other questions that come up, type them in the chat, or if you're brave like Coach Gino, you can jump on and ask email something.
Yeah, we did have one question about how much weight you would use when you start doing weight training. I assume you start light and work your way up, but any advice you would give there?
Just body weight, whatever you comfortable with, whatever you can keep good, proper form with. And I mean, anything over that is not healthy for you. You know what I mean? Again, like I said, again, like I'm a big proponent of not letting kids back squat early age. You know what I mean? So again, because it's just so much bad form and so many things that can go wrong with that. So I just think try to really light, you know what I'm saying? Even with like a stick or anything that you can actually properly balance, whatever, properly control first, then moving to actually kind of put some light load on, lightweight on for sure.
Got it. What is your best substitute for a back squat for your young athletes?
I like to do elevated hill squats with a med ball. I like to do just like big, just kind of helps them kind of just like kind of like control their core more. It helps them engage their posture and their back. You know what I mean, and not slouch over and do things like that. So I'm really big on that starting out.
Cool.
Hmm.
Hey, Melvin, and so I do got a question for you guys. I know you guys are dealing with a lot of the 1% athletes, right? Do you guys offer training for younger athletes, middle school athletes? For instance, the athletes that train under the AYG umbrella, which is first to 12th grade. Do you guys train those athletes as well?
Yeah, we have
And
about
if you do, like, how can they reach you?
actually we have about what I think we have like 20 plus trainers, and like a lot of my trainers are former NFL athletes actually, whatever that obviously do basketball training as well. So yeah, so we train from grades first through 12, and I mean going through. So we have something for everybody for sure.
And then how could they reach you guys? I mean, obviously, we could kind of go through the connect where they're like, hey, Coach Gino, hey,
Yeah.
we need to talk to the guy that was on the webinar with us, and then I have to reach out to Shaun. It's like, is there a way that they can directly
Yeah.
connect with you guys? You
Yeah.
guys
Yep.
got social media or
Yeah, like we have direct contact through our website, SandersFit.com. It's pretty easy. You can fill out the form on there and we'll see it. Or again, I mean a simple DM to Ashley might work better than DMing me. You know what I mean? But yeah, but no, so it's pretty simple. Like I said, we're not hard to find. And yeah, Coach G, we'll make sure you have our information as well, and like I said, just reach out, like I said, and I mean again, like I'm never too busy, man, to help out for sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Clint dropped the website in the chat if you're interested. Check them out. They're an amazing organization. They do amazing work. So they do great with training and performance, and also from a physician standpoint, I get to see a lot of the rehab they're doing. And I've never in my career had patients and kids ask me to go to physical therapy before. Most of them, oh, I got to go to therapy, but I legit get kids asking me, can I go to Sanders Fit?
Yeah.
Can I go to rehab? Maybe because they get a glimpse of once in a while they might see Wemby there or something. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
sorry. Yeah. Good energy, good music, good vibes all the time.
good
So yeah,
music,
we have
good
we have we have
vibes.
good stuff.
But
Yeah, we have good
yeah,
stuff.
they've got great locations, and And Melvin and Ashley, we just appreciate you spending the time with us tonight. I know it's a sacrifice, and but super good information. I hope people took away some points. Certainly, I did, about consistency and hard work. I think that's at the heart of everything you guys are preaching, which is awesome. So thank you so much for being on here. Um, I don't have any other questions. Clint, Ashley, Melvin, any last words from y'all?
I just
Thank
want to appreciate you guys having us on. Like, for us, honor. Like I said, man, Ash been talking about it for 2 weeks, and make sure I'm committed. Cause like I said, people always ask me to do all kinds of things. Ash, like, Mel, you're doing this one. So I appreciate it. It's been fun, man. And like I said, we got to do it again, though. I actually enjoyed it. Like I said, anything having to do with kids and helping out, like, I'm all in for sure. For sure. No, I love it for
That's
sure. For sure.
great.
Yeah,
We
thank you
definitely
so
will.
much
We'll
for
have some
having
more
me.
collaborations with this group, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And we will, for all those who are on here, we will have recordings of this. We will have access to that, as well as we will work in the next week on getting together a pager with some of these tips that Ashley and Melvin talked about tonight, and distribute that out as well. So with that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining.